I really enjoyed watching the lecture on the color of law. I thought it was really enlightening and some cool history that, I wouldn't say cool history, but some interesting history that I had not heard about before. And there was definitely some things that surprised me. First was when he said schools are more segregated today, 6 years ago, today more than any time like for the past 45 years because of neighborhood segregation. And I just didn't know that neighborhoods used to be like more integrated. I guess I expected it to be less segregated right now than it was back. That just like makes sense to me, but hearing that, I was definitely surprised. I was also surprised about the segregation during World War II and the segregation of housing that went on there. And that Richmond said that African Americans who moved there during the war had to leave after. And like even though they had houses, like shabby houses, like you're saying, like they're not nice, but they were forced to leave. And then the last thing was that in 1949, to solve the housing crisis, the Congress had to vote against the integration due to the poison pill strategy by conservatives. I'd never heard of that. And like, what a horrible thing that is. And it's like a loophole I think government is finding a lot of loopholes lately and making a lot of issues, but that's a conversation for another time. What do you know about your own community and local zoning policies? All of those questions. I honestly do not know much. I'm really uneducated in this aspect. I know that Lapeer is predominantly white from the bit of research and just I know because I live there. The most economic-based segregation I know of is like our trailer home developments, and those are usually like kind of pushed to the back and kind of hidden so you don't really see them. We have a couple of those developments. We don't have many, but we have a couple. But I don't think, I don't know how much would change if we got like the fair share policy. I think it would stay relatively similar, but again, I'm really not educated on this topic, so I don't know. And I looked it up, but I couldn't really find anything. I know we have zoning policies for like single family houses and things like that, but I don't know the actual details of it and couldn't go into depth about it. And then we typically expect to understand two sides of stories or anything missing from the color of law that might modify its argument. I thought of two things that might modify it. Talking more about modern techniques like zoning. I know that wasn't really mentioned in the lecture, and I feel like that's a really popular way of doing it now, and redlining is through zoning. So I think that could be an interesting way to look at it and just kind of change the perspective a little bit of modern ways of redlining. And then the other thing was maybe talk about more of like the individual agency of, like other than the government action, how to like people as individuals make this happen more. Like obviously government policy and zoning has a lot to do with it, but I wonder like what individuals' feelings has to do with it as well. And then if your community and your school are racially segregated, has this resulted in fewer interracial friendships? Then what are some of the consequences of missing out on cross-racial friendships? So because of the overwhelming white presence in my town, I had very few cross-racial friendships. There were just not many people other than white people in my school. I could probably count the number of people who weren't white on two hands. Like, it was small. I really did not have much. And I think this made me miss out on a lot, honestly. I think it made me miss out on other people's culture and knowing that, like, my culture isn't, like, the only one out there, right? Like, there's so much more. And I think really the most I got out of that was, like, social media and TV was, like, learning about more people and, like, that. But, yeah, no, I feel like I definitely missed out on a lot of culture and, like, a lot of spice in my life because I was just around a lot of white people. And I think that's changed now in GB especially. I have a lot more interracial friendships and I've learned a lot, and I think my life's just better, right? Like, it's just gonna be better when you have more diversity in your friendships and who you surround yourself with. You're gonna be a better person. You're gonna be a more understanding person. And I think I have become, and I think that was a really big pull to, like, the Grand Rapids area, too, was some of the diversity. At least, like, when I think of difference between Grand Rapids and Lapeer, it's, like, a stark difference, and that's what I was looking for, was a bigger city with more diversity. And I think I found that, and I definitely can go into, like, a more diverse area, and I want to surround myself with diversity. It's just, it can be hard because there's problems like zoning and redlining that literally segregates us. And so you can't, like, so yeah, I don't know. But it sucks, and it definitely made me miss out on a lot. What is one thing you'd like to better understand about your home or community and how you came to live there? I said I'd like to know exactly why my community is so white. Like, why has there not been pushes to create a more cultural diverse community? Why? It would just be better for everybody. I mean, I think there's a lot of people who think it wouldn't be better for them. Like I've said, my town is very conservative, very Trumpy area, which is why I don't want to go back and live there anymore. But anyway, were you surprised that Chief Justice John Roberts got his facts wrong? I wasn't. I have such little faith in our justice system, especially when it regards African American individuals, because systemic racism is deeply rooted in all aspects of our life, especially the judicial system. So no, I was not surprised. And other people who have got their facts wrong, I think the presidential administration has gotten their facts wrong many a times, and it's scary that the most powerful people in our country don't even know our history and policies. Like, that's like your one job, and you don't know that, and you're just like lying to people's faces. It's terrifying. And then I did not know a lot of this history. This was a lot of brand new information to me, and I want to learn more about it. I want to go find more talks about this, but yeah, this was new to me. Like, I know about gentrification and stuff. Like, in my degree in classes, I have talked about that a lot. Just because my women, gender, and sexuality studies degree is very much about how can we integrate everybody, how can we understand intersectionality, and gentrification and redlining comes huge in that, and just a lot of that. So yeah, I know some of it, but not a lot. And then, what are your unanswered questions after reviewing the documentary? I want to know what would be like the most effective policy solutions today, because the Rothstein argued that like government created segregation requires government intervention, but it doesn't really explain like how that would happen. I know that's not his job to figure it out, but like, I don't know, I guess what would work, how, and nobody knows that because it's not been fixed, but like, what would work? And then the other one was, how does the U.S. compare to other countries when it comes to housing segregation? I wonder if there's other places like this. I assume there has to be, just because of the way people are, and human nature, but I don't know. I'm just curious to see kind of like a ranking of where we'd sit with like neighborhood and housing segregation. But overall, this is a really enlightening documentary, and I'm really glad that I got to watch it.